Feeling the need for change is at the heart of your ability to make it happen. Welcome to Turning Inward. I'm Vivian Carrasco, your midwife, teacher, and host for this podcast. Together, you and I are going to navigate the interior life. And we're going to do that by unearthing our personal truths, our own insight, and our inner knowing. These are weekly teachings that are brought to you by hard-nosed scientific evidence, focused on spiritual direction with integrity and self-awareness. In 2 words, this is your inner work. Lori, I'm so excited to have you on today.
Oh, thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Your work, one of your current projects, Beyond the Yoga Body. I just got chills. Coming back to yourself as a necessity. Say more about that.
Well, I started thinking about the project in about 2012 when I was traveling around the world like a crazy woman and working. And I was also a yogi and using my yoga practice to maintain my own personal balance as well as getting my instructor certification. And I started to think about how important it was to continue to come back to myself and really remember who I am and what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I've since changed my life completely to do more coaching, more yoga teaching, and more projects like this around being able to teach others how to look at themselves or others without judgment, basically. And that's where Beyond the Yoga Body came into my mind. And just by sheer, I have no idea, just chance and wonder and wonderfulness, I met my partner who is a photographer, and we started talking about his ideas for a project like this. And I always wanted the photography, and I had spoken to other photographers, but it never felt like it clicked together. So we began Beyond the Yoga Body together.
You mentioned that it was when you were a crazy woman. So that would imply that you're no longer crazy. Tell me the difference between then and now.
Crazy depressed or crazy happy? I'm crazy happy.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like? What did it take to make that shift?
Ooh, well, I am a Martha Beck Master Life Coach, and I've been certified with Martha Beck since 2006. So I had some tools to use, and I started to think about just using myself as the client and really almost becoming an observer of myself as the client who shows up as I'm never home, I'm not happy, my life is crazy, I'm working like a maniac, I want something different for my life. And I just started turtle steps. It took me about 2 years to get where I am today, but I know that it's still evolving. I mean, we're always evolving, so I'm just enjoying it a lot more.
No, that's a good thing. So you mentioned 2 years. My listeners are probably at the beginning of this journey and really want something. Generally, as human beings, we're all impatient. Something needs to happen. It needs to happen now. And what I found is in the stories and in the conversations, these are slow, long paths, 2, 3, 4, 7, sometimes a decade long. What kind of inspiration or insight would you give those folks who are just feeling impatient and need something to be different right away?
Well, I think, if you're obviously in danger or in a scary situation, you need faster action around that. On the other side of that, I would say it's that cliche about enjoy the journey of life, and that life is really a journey. It's not about getting to a specific time or space in your life that everything is going to be clear and free and fine. You can manage that every day. So I used to think once I have my college degree, everything, I'll be good. Once I have a home and children and a job, everything will be good. But if it's good, it's great. But we just continue to change, and we don't have the option of sidestepping change. And so I say to myself and to clients, just every single day do one small thing that gets you closer to the feelings you want in your life and the people you want in your life. And so when I was in hotel rooms, practicing my yoga, maintaining my sanity, I mean, my small steps were first coming back into what I felt I was and trying to learn about knowing myself, to really get into you are who you think you are. And how do you think you are? And what do you want to be? I know that sounds like, okay, right, but what do I do now? So I guess the first thing is, since we're in this technology era, the first thing is start researching, start looking around and reading and understanding the things that you might love to do.
So gathering information and testing it through experience is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I tell clients, when you read an article and something really jumps out at you, write that person's name down. If there's a quote, write down where they are. Put that person in your kind of secondary network. And if people are willing to share their story, their information with you, then just think about how much you would gain from having that exchange with another person.
That's actually interesting that you said that, because for me, things light up. Some things are brighter than others. And I actually had that experience when I came across a note that you wrote, which is how you and I connected. That's interesting. I agree.
Here that was. I'm curious.
It was the post on Beyond the Yoga Body, and it just spoke to me somehow. It was lighter. And generally when that happens, I don't even question it anymore. I just take action. That level of doubt, when I have that kind of certainty, has flown away, thank goodness.
Well, and I think there was a time in my life where I thought, wow, if I could just get rid of this fear around taking action. And now I feel like, wow, what do we ever have to be fearful of outside of something that could really kill us, basically? And there really isn't anything to fear. And I hear the stories around how things can go really bad for somebody, but there's always an option to first come back to yourself and or reach out to someone. There are so many loving, wonderful people in the world, and we're just inundated with the bad news.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, there are no longer lions and tigers roaming around for us to protect ourselves from.
Right. I mean, we find our people and we hold on to them with love, and we allow them to be who they are. And that is amazing learning through this project, Beyond the Yoga Body. I've interviewed now 22 women out of 40, and I get off the phone with them just shaking my head in awe at the strength and the directness and the openness that they have around what they've experienced and how they've overcome it, and how yoga has allowed them to come back to themselves every single time and somehow create an internal shift that allows them to embrace both sides of their life, the positive or the lightness, and the negative or the shadows. And then that lends itself to having the photos all about light and shadow. But it's the strong emotion that comes through, the courage that these women are presenting is just amazing. And for women and girls for sure, but also for men and boys that want to look at women as a certain way and realize that we got our bodies, you got yours. And this is the way we go through life.
Well, and you bring up a really good point. We have generally as a culture have a mentality of either or. And what you're saying is yes and, so both. There is no light without darkness.
Right. I think the key here is learning to embrace both and realize that, and I think a lot of people do, or the people that I'm interviewing in this project do, is they look at a lot of the darkness within their life as a positive now. And having come through anything, and maybe that's one of the quick wins within, like talking to a client that needs change now, is to allow them to see that they've overcome other maybe smaller challenges in their life and how did that happen, and really understand that they already have what they need inside themselves.
That's a beautiful strategy. So remembering when it's happened before and sort of dissecting that to find the patterns.
Right.
Beautiful.
Because there are certain things that they've done, maybe consciously or unconsciously, that have brought them through, mainly because they're sitting or talking to you. They got there somehow.
Right. Now, Lori, you said something else that really piqued my curiosity. And you said, find your people. That's also a common thread, is this yearning for community and for support in that way. Say more.
Well, I'll say in my own life, so I really do believe that. I grew up mostly in the United States, but I was born in Colombia, South America. So I spent a lot of my childhood going back and forth for months at a time, or doing a semester in school there and then coming back. And I think that it somehow made me very attentive to being with people that felt like we were collaborating and in community together, or having a stronger connection with them than with others. And it's interesting. I don't even know what that would mean for anybody, except that there's a feeling created of oneness, that we're in this together, that there isn't competition, and that we're going to be okay together. So most recently, as I went through this 2-year shift in my life, which I say 2 years, and that 2-year period, I would say, was about a year ago. So now we're 3 years in, and it was really about finding community. It was about coming back to the people in my life that I missed, and back to the places that I wanted to be in my life. And now I kind of have a joke where I only really travel 1 square mile from my house. So I have everything I need surrounding me. And really, it's just delightful. So I think there are certain people that you just get a feeling for, or have a quick connection with. And those are the relationships that you want to nurture. And it doesn't mean that they need to become part of your family or your best buddies. They're just beautiful people that you want to have in your life.
I completely relate to that. And often in my body, there are sensations that I recognize, sort of my own language. For the listeners who really haven't tuned in enough to sort of distinguish what that feeling is, can you describe what your process is, or how you sort of move forward and away from certain people?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, because we know it, but it's so someone who's like, how do I do that? Right?
Yeah. I think that one initial step would be coming again back to yourself and being open and okay with the idea that someone else might not be okay for you, or might, I think I'm thinking of particular clients that I have that would really benefit from being a little bit more open in their lives in general, even if that means having a quick chat as they buy coffee in the morning, or looking around a little bit more at the exchanges that they have during their day, as opposed to feeling the fear around what might come into their lives. So, I think staying open. And one thing that I really like to do, I don't know where this came from, but sometimes when I look at somebody that I feel isn't making connection, I try and think about them as a 10-year-old. And so I will look in their eyes and think, this is a 10-year-old in front of me, and you're just a young person trying to get through life like everybody else. And it creates an openness.
Mm-hmm. A relaxation almost. So that, yeah.
Because you don't see younger people as potential threat.
I'm going to share my close friendships, and friendships have always been women who are 20 and 30 and sometimes 40 years older than me. And I think it's because of exactly that. There is no sense of competition or threat. It's very much a sort of sisterhood. And sometimes even though for some it's not age distinct, but sometimes that age will soften you.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Right. It's funny, as we raise our children, as we all raise our children, we teach them how to be socialized in this world, what you need to do, what what you shouldn't do, what you can do, how you need to appear in this world. And then I think about this because my kids are in their mid-20s. And so I almost want to say to them, okay, now forget everything I said to you and just do whatever you want to do. Follow your heart.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I have.
The whole idea about there's like a hiatus, between like childhood and adulthood where you have to like regroup everything you were taught and see what should stick and what shouldn't.
I so relate to that. I have a new hashtag for my life, and it's hashtag mother of men, because both my gentlemen are in their 20s. And I have felt that shift. It's such a sort of core piece of who I am. I want you to do what you love. And right. As powerful as those words can be, I literally, whatever that means for you. I think that women, and I've heard Martha Beck say this, we're here to love our men to freedom. How do you feel about that?
I love that. I mean, my son is a musician and a very creative person. And I think that he went to college for music, so that was a little bit better. But going through school as a very creative music art guy, it's not always rewarded as well as it should be. So I think that we think about this as women need to break out, and we do, but I think men do too.
They do.
And there's a piece in a book, I think it's Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, where the guys are saying, I'm living with a woman who doesn't really care so much about if I'm doing things that I love to do, as long as I'm going out, working every day and maintaining the household, either, financially or just by showing up. But there wasn't a deeper emotional connection. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's kind of how I took it. Mm-hmm. And so I do think, and my son would say to me, okay, so just do what you love, is contrary to a lot of what he's learned in his life. But he taught music for 2 years. And so that was like the good step, the right path. You're a music teacher now, and you will do that for the rest of your life. And he hated it. And so now he's just doing what he loves. He's working in a restaurant. He loves cooking. He loves being involved with other people, and he's working on his music, and he's way happier.
I feel like society's going to shift. I think.
Oh boy, we better shift.
We better shift. Yeah. So, and really, I think all the traditions in some way say this, but even the sort of contemporary knowledge pieces, like so many folks are interested in that book by Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Mm-hmm. But in that book, what isn't always talked about, there's always, certain things that are emphasized, but it's spiritual forces and, sort of pointed towards men because it was a study on successful men, but it also points them to recognize that you're doing this to fulfill and to make happy, a woman, either your mother or your beloved. And that is just the nature of things. So if we love them in their freedom, then it allows them to be free if we haven't done that in the past. Do you agree?
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking about your other question, what can clients do right now? And it's almost coming back to the idea around the journey. If it takes you a year or 2 years or even 3 years to take the step toward breaking things down or getting rid of things that aren't feeling right in your life and bringing the other pieces into your life, then, oh my God, it's worth it, right? It's just 2 years out of a very long life.
Yes. And it's never too late.
No, I mean, I felt, and people will give you pushback. So we've learned that as coaches.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I experienced, not just this past transitional time, but at other times where, you can't get a divorce, you have a good house and everything is fine. It's like, yeah, but it feels crappy. And then, you can't leave your job. You're making good money. And yeah, but it feels crappy. And so you really need to be okay with yourself, because once you're happy, you are just giving it to everyone else.
Yes. 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 I don't know what else to say to that, but yes.
Yeah, well, and it just makes you laugh. It makes you have fun. It makes you okay. But it is a process. I think the hardest thing for me is to see the potential in others and see them unhappy that they are not reaching their potential, and wondering, as coaches, this is our job, right? So we just have to tweak and pull and push and weed out what's happening inside that person to allow them to open that door to whatever potential is there. And again, that is what I see in this project, which is, it's just like you said initially, it could take a year, it could take 5 years, it could take decades. And I've heard each of those timelines around major transformation.
And I sort of know the answer to this question, but have you ever found anyone that said it wasn't worth it?
Mm. Yeah, you do know the answer to. Yeah.
It's a trick question.
Tell their story and they pose completely exposed in their beautiful bodies, and then they say it's not worth it. No, that's not happening.
I would, because I'm getting body chills. My hunch is that it's more than they ever even imagined.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, again, we are so blessed to be Martha Beck coaches, because we are really trained year after year after year to be in this live it to give it attitude. So we can say to our clients, we've been through this. In whatever level that looks like, we can say, we know how scary this is. We know how you feel. And this is how it plays out. And if your change and transformation doesn't include the exact pieces that my change and transformation included, it's going to happen in the same way, or we can find you a coach that's going to have that experience.
Beautiful, Lori. Beautiful. So tell us how we can support or how we can find more information.
Oh, yes. So Beyond the Yoga Body is at a website at www.beyondtheyogabody.com. And when you go onto the site, you'll see a bio for myself and my partner, the photographer Mark Maxim, who specializes in black and white yoga and fitness photography. We have the women of Beyond the Yoga Body that are being posted once a week, maybe once every other week, but it takes a while for the women. We want to make sure that they approve everything that's going up onto the internet, and it's in preparation for a full published book that will include their full stories. So there are just excerpts of the stories on the website. The book will include full short stories around their life and their transformation with 3 photos for each woman. And we need funding for this. So we have a PayPal link on the website. We're continually raising money to publish the book. And we would love to have a gallery show somewhere here in Rhode Island or anywhere. We're dreaming and scheming every day, helping others and really pushing the project to allow others to see that, this kind of craze around yoga in the United States is very different than yoga has been in the world for the last 4,000 years. But my feeling for sure is that if you're getting millions of people in the United States to sit in silence for 2 minutes every day or every week, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We're all on the same team.
Yeah.
Now tell us how we can find more about you.
So my bio is on the Beyond the Yoga Body page, but as a master life coach, I also have my own website, and that is www.loriguittari.com. And it's not guitar. I think the biggest trick is as soon as people spell Guittari, it becomes guitar. So it's Giuttari.
And I practiced it so much, I turned it from Italian to Spanish. So.
That's okay. Oh, they're so similar. I go to Italy, and with my Spanish, I can pretty much understand what's happening.
Yes, this has been so delightful. I literally am grinning ear to ear. Do you have any closing insights or just final thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
I think that the biggest key, and Martha Beck said this, so I can't take credit, but really it's the whole game of life is around finding out what your message is and what you want to send out in the world. And so my message is and has always been, we're all in this together. We need to support each other. We need to move forward as a group or as a team or as a tribe. And then once you understand what your personal message is in whatever way that comes forward, how do you expand your message out into the world? And so you think about, and this is what I'm doing, I use my coach training, I use all the years of experience in marketing and communications and executive coaching to bring that same kind of message, including my love for yoga after 15 years of doing yoga and practicing and feeling my own transformation. So it's taking what you know in your heart, what you love, what experience you have, and figuring out how that comes out into the world. That is just the key. And I bet that most people can say, I know what my message is. This is the message that I've always wanted to share. And whether that's I just want people to feel good about each other or feel good about themselves, or I want people to be able to get to this goal that they've always wanted to have, then that's their work.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And there's a song that's running in my head as you started to talk, and it's This Little Light of Mine. Oh,
my God. Yeah. Just the other day, I had one of those Facebook memory posts come up, and I didn't reshare it, but the post was, we learn that little song when we're kids, and then we somehow need to really stay true to that little light inside and just keep pushing it forward, getting it out there. And now we're adults, so we know how to maneuver that.
We do. Now, Lori, this is spur of the moment. You don't have to do it. But will we fade? Do you mind us fading out singing This Little Light of Mine?
Oh, not at all.
Awesome. So you lead and then I'll follow you.
Okay. This little
light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine.
If you want more help moving forward and breaking out of a negative mental pattern, I personally host an online community of practice for smart, successful women and a few super cool dudes that gives you more support, tailored training, and an unlimited professional coaching. Visit my digital home at viviancarrasco.com to learn more.